All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome to ISB Parent Night, great for grade 8 students. We are so glad that you are joining us. I think we finally have technology pretty much worked out. Hopefully it will work well tonight. There should be a chat box down at the bottom that you can ask questions as they come up. And we're going to present some information, and then at the end, we'll get a chance to answer your questions. Do you want to share the slideshow, Miss Hirsch?
Sure. Can you?
Oh, do I need to
do that? Yes.
Yes, that would be good if I allowed that to happen. Maybe I spoke too soon when I said we had technology figured out.
All right. Okay.
All right, so like I said, we'll go through through YouTube live, and you can use that chat feature to ask questions. And we'll present some common information that will hopefully answer some of your questions first, but then you'll have a chance to ask what we didn't cover. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Tracy Meilenberg, and I'm one of the school counselors. I serve students whose last names are O through Z in grades 8 through 12. And I'll pass it to my partner in crime, Catherine Hirsch.
Hi, everybody. I'm Catherine Hirsch. I'm the other school counselor, and I work with all students from 8th through 12th grade for the first half of the alphabet, A through N. And I will pass it on to Scott.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Gladney. I am the assistant principal at the International School of Beaverton. I'll pass it on to Janice.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Janice Adams, the interim principal here for the rest of this year, and we are so happy to have you joining us this evening. And I will now pass it on to one of our students, Brooklyn.
Hi, I'm a sophomore at ISB. I'll pass it to Alex.
Hi, my name is Alex. I'm also a sophomore at ISB.
Miranda, you want to go?
Yeah, hi, I'm Miranda, and I'm another sophomore here at ISB.
Awesome.
All right. So we're so thankful to our sophomore students for coming to join us. We specifically chose sophomores since they at least had a half a year last year in the building at ISB. And not that we don't have wonderful freshmen, but we felt like the sophomores might be able to speak a little bit more about when we're back to normal. So the plan for this presentation is we're going to spend a few minutes talking about just some key elements, some forecasting notes, but the majority of the time we want to devote to your questions. So you can go ahead.
It has been a delight for me to come on board in January and learn more about the culture of ISB, learn about the parents and the students and the staff. It truly is a school that is well defined by its school mission, and we encourage students to learn through that international lens. They use an inquiry base, they become really concerned and involved citizens, and you will find this mission on our walls, and you will find it throughout all of the work we do.
I think, Scott, we have you talking about this one.
Okay, that's me. Thanks for the nudge. A couple of years ago, many of you might remember that we went through a little bit of a rebranding process, and it wasn't just us getting a cool new dragon and a cool new logo, but it really took our mission and we distilled it down to what can we strive for working on a daily basis with our students. So each of these four, just like the Beaverton School District has its pillars, these are kind of some of the pillars that we strive for on a daily basis and how we try to live out our mission.
And I'm going to talk about a couple aspects of ISB that really make me enjoy working at ISB, and I think are really important to our staff and students. And one of those aspects is collaboration. Our students definitely know their classmates well, they know their teachers well, and there's lots of opportunities for students to work with teachers more than 1 year. So I feel like the relationships and kind of the culture and community of our school is a big part of ISB. Students definitely have high expectations for themselves and each other, and there's smooth transitions between classes and grade levels. And then also our international mindedness, we definitely have a global lens at ISB, being an IB school. And we definitely have a diverse community and are very inclusive. And I think this shows in the activities in the classroom, but I know this is a really important aspect of our school to the faculty and the students. And now I will pass it on to Tracy.
So one of the things that's pretty universal at our school is that we have a college going culture. Since you are currently attending ISB, you probably know that we're an international baccalaureate school. So that includes the middle years program and the diploma program in grades 11 and 12. And so we have most of our students, almost 100% of our students, go to 2- and 4-year colleges after they graduate from ISB. So a college going culture is really important to us. We celebrate our students, we help them through the journey. Ms. Hirsch and I give a lot of one-on-one attention, especially to our juniors and seniors as they're applying to college. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the job. You can go to the next slide. So I always keep this slide in here. I think I get so excited about this slide every single time. I've given this presentation many, many times. And to me, this is the reason to do IB. This is the reason that ISB is such a wonderful place. So the average, about 40% of students drop out of college between freshman and sophomore year, if you look at national averages. But ISB students to persist from freshman to sophomore year at around anywhere between 97 and 99%. So most of our students go to college with the skills they need to be successful. And to me, that's the most amazing thing. It's not always easy, but they overcome the obstacles. They learn the skills that they need while they're in high school, so that when they step foot on that college campus, they're ready to go and ready to do well. And so I think that's pretty amazing. We also have pretty good success for, our class. Our average senior class sizes are between 80 and 95. And this is our scholarship amount for those students. They earned $3.1 million last year in scholarship money, which is pretty incredible in my opinion.
Definitely. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about curriculum and what the courses and pathways will look like for the next 4 years from 9th through 12th grade. This is just to kind of give an overview of the typical courses that students are taking in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So if you look at that first column, that's for 9th grade, the courses, and these are our 6 groups that make up the IB program. So in 9th grade, most students, there's not a lot of choice. And you can see for group 1, which is literature and composition, group 3, individuals and societies, and then group 4, experimental science. Those from 9th to 12th grade are pretty much laid out for students, and there isn't choice there. For group 2 is their language acquisition. So that's going to look different based on that student's level and maybe what they took in middle school. And math as well, based on the student's level and what they're taking in middle school and what they move on to in 9th grade. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then in group 6 is where students have a little bit more choice with their fine arts in 9th and 10th grade. and then their group 6, which we will talk more about in more of the slides. But this gives you a layout of looking at what the next 4 years will look like. When students enter 11th grade, that's when they start the IB diploma program, and they're taking all their IB courses. So those 2 years really model the first 2 years of college and are really preparing students for 4-year college. So for world languages, we have students that are with us at ISB in middle school and then continue on into high school. We also have new students that come in 9th grade. So we have many students are at many different levels. So we do have students that start level 1 of their world language in 7th grade. And then we have some students who even start level 1 in 9th grade. No matter what level that student is at in 9th grade, even if they're starting at level 1, they can still be a part of the diploma program and can still be on track to be a part of that whole diploma program. Some students, as we've been doing the forecasting with students in 8th grade, we've talked to students, they'll be forecasting for their next, if they're in Spanish 2 right now as an 8th grader, they'll forecast for Spanish 3 as a 9th grader. We did talk to students about if they do have a D or lower, they should be forecasting, maybe taking that Spanish 2 class over again. And we can talk to students if they have questions about that, or they can talk to their world language teacher. And I will pass this on to Scott to talk a little bit more about math.
Okay, so taking a look at this, every student is going to be progressing. So if you're in AGS 1 right now, you can see that in 9th grade, you'd be progressing to AGS 2. I keep wanting to point at my screen, but you can't see my finger pointing at the screen. So I'm trying to describe with words, which sometimes befuddle me. I think this slide, what I want everyone to get out of this is, regardless of where you start your 9th grade year, if you follow 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th, whether you start in AGS 1, 2, or 3, or even higher, all of those pathways get you to an IB math class. And all of those IB math classes have college equivalents to them. If you look at just below where it says 9, 10, 11, and 12, where the AGS 1 track, you go AGS 1, AGS 2, and then you do IB applications interpretations, SL. SL stands for standard level, SL1, and then it's a 2-year sequence, and then you go to IB ANI SL2. Those are roughly equivalent to a Math 105 at the college level. If you go down one further to AGS 2, the track that starts 9th grade in AGS 2, then you go to advanced AGS 3, and then you go to what's called analysis and approaches SL1 and SL2. And those have, I think that's Math 111, Math 112. And then if you go down to the very bottom one, if you're currently in AGS 2 as an 8th grader, you'd be going into advanced algebra AGS 3 as a freshman, and then pre-calc, and then you go into ANA HL1, HL2. These are the most rigorous of the 2 courses, and those are roughly equivalent to college calculus at the Math 251, 252 level. But regardless of your entry point, all 3 of them do have college equivalents for their math tracks.
I'm actually going to stop for just a second and make sure we don't have any questions about math, since that's one that we normally have a lot of questions at. So if you have a math question, if you could type it in the chat, we can answer it for you now. We'll give a couple seconds for that.
Tracy, have there been questions being popped into the chat yet?
There hasn't been, and I'm hoping it's working okay.
That was my next question.
I'm going to put a chat.
Test it out there.
Yeah. If not, we have a backup plan. Okay. No one's one's responding to is it working okay? So I'm assuming it's not working okay. So I'm going to move this up here. Hold on one second.
Catherine, if you could go back one more slide, please.
Sure.
Just as we were talking about the world language, I kind of want to throw it out there to the math as well, that if you were struggling in math this year, and this year I'll give you, it was a different year. If you're getting a D in your math class, it would be wise to not move on to the next section, but then to probably retake as a freshman, whatever that course is. We want to set students up for success. And if you're barely scraping by this year and then you start your freshman year on rocky ground, I would much rather start it on a little bit more solid ground. So if you're one of those people, work with your math teacher and with your counselor, and we'll get you placed appropriately to get your freshman year off to the good start.
Okay, the chat is working a little bit, but I mean, it seems to be working. We have some questions on there. Before I shout those out, Catherine, if you could go to the next slide, I think it will be. Oh, maybe not. Maybe you need to refresh your. I did put the Padlet in there if we want to just put that up for people if they're having a hard time with the chat. Okay, while she's doing that, Mr. Gladney, will there be summer school math in summer school?
You know what? In most years, yes. In most years, there is an opportunity to take an extra course, but it would take an exceptional person in any given year to get a full year's worth of curriculum in math into one summer. And when I say one summer, it's generally like a 6 to an 8 week course, and it's pretty rigorous. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from the district yet about if there's going to be any kind of a summer school offering for advancement this year. So that is still a stay tuned. I think there's a lot on the plate right now, and I don't know that we can. It's not a normal year, so I can't say yes. There's going to be. We're gonna have to wait and see kind of a thing.
Okay. And do all kids from 8th grade AGS 2 go on to 9th grade advanced AGS 3?
And that's what I was referring to. If you're in AGS 2 right now and you're being less than successful, it might be a wise decision to repeat AGS 2 as a freshman. You're not able to do that once you get into high school because it's credit bearing and it goes on your transcript, on your high school transcript. You can't repeat a course if you've already received a grade for it or credit for it. So the 8th grade to 9th grade year transition is one of those pieces where we can kind of make that exception. If you're struggling in AGS 2, you might want to rethink and take it again if just to get on more solid ground and a firm mathematical base. If you're nailing it though, yes, all students would be going to advanced AGS 3.
So we had a parent ask if their student has a grade A, in which track will they be? And that will just depend on what their current math class is. So if they're in AGS 1 and getting an A, they'll move on to AGS 2. If they're in AGS 2 and getting an A, they'll move on to advanced AGS 3. All right. So Catherine, it looks like if you go to the slide, well, I think the chat's working okay. But if you look at the slide, if you go to the slides, it should be down at the bottom, even on yours. If you go all the way down and say, where was it? What questions do you have? Yeah, if you go to that slide real quick. So for anyone who's having difficulty with the chat, this is a Padlet that you can use. So you can either use your phone to scan this QR code, or you can, is there a way to move that? There we go. Or you can put this address into your phone or computer and use the Padlet if the chat feature in YouTube isn't working for you well. Let me check while we're giving everyone a minute. Let me see if there's any more questions. Okay, I think we're pretty Pretty good. Let's give it another couple minutes, or not another couple minutes, another couple seconds for people to get the Padlet if they need it. And I'll also put the link to the Padlet into the chat as well. So we can go back to the I think we were on arts, I believe.
Yes.
Is that me again, or is that Tracy? Or
Yes, I think, Scott, this is yours, and then it'll be Tracy.
Okay. So one of the things that, how do I put this? ISB has a lot of great things about it. One of the things that is not so great about it is that we don't have a really wide breadth of choice of elective courses. Being a small school, we don't have the economy of scale that we can say we're going to offer every elective under the sun. So if you're passionate about robotics, or you're passionate about some other niche that you don't see on our list of offerings, that might be something to consider when you're considering making your high school choice. What I can tell you though is that we do offer electives in the fine and performing arts at the 9th and 10th grade level. And then when you look at 11th and 12th grade level, you see there are some additional electives aside from just the arts. All of them are IB courses. And so if you're passionate about art and you want to continue on art, you'd be able to do your IB or your college level art courses. Or if you're into band and choir, you can still continue with those. But we also have what's called Group 6, and that is really the choice where a student, when they get to the 11th and 12th grade, they can really kind of dive into something that they're interested in. And you'll see that we have an extra science on there. We've heard through kids voting with what they want to choose, that science is important to them. So we do offer an IB chemistry, a chemistry course, or IB psychology, and IB global politics. Now, I will say that although you see all three of these being offered, aside from the band, choir, and art, kids essentially make the decision, the cohort themselves make that decision as to what we're going to offer. We don't have the size or the staffing to be able to offer all 6 of those choices. Generally, 2 of the 3 at the bottom are generally what we do offer. There's always enough kids, it seems, for the last 4 years, there have always been enough kids to do IB chemistry. 2 years ago, there weren't enough kids to do psychology, so we didn't offer it. But because we didn't offer psychology, more kids wanted to be in chemistry, and we actually had 2 sections of IB chemistry. IB global politics is always something that kids show an interest in, but oftentimes we can't offer it because there's not enough to fill an entire class. Like if 15 kids want to join a class, that doesn't make up a class for us. It has to be a critical mass of generally about 30 students or more for it to become a reality. So our arts, yes, chemistry, psychology, and global politics, we do consider those our electives because those are, when you get to your upper classes, those are some of the choice that you have.
All right, I'm going to take this slide. So in 9th and 10th grade, students are required to fulfill the state requirement of PE and health. So that's one of their other courses. We also offer every year, we offer an IB seminar class, which is kind of a half study hall, half learning strategies, kids working together to study for tests, help each other on assignments, getting some help from their teacher. And a really good class for students to have some extra time during the school day to work on their work. We also offer in 9th grade a class called Advanced Science Research, which we have about 32, 34 kids that take that class usually per year, and it's preparing for, Scott, what's the name of the science fair? Do you remember?
I'm sure one of our students was in it.
Yes. Alex, what's the name of the science fair?
It's BHSC. It stands for Beaverton Hillsborough Science Expo.
Do you want to tell them that were you in advanced science research?
Yeah, Do you
Can
want
you
me to?
talk a little bit about what that class is?
Okay, so the entire class, well, the first semester of advanced science research is focused on preparing students to enter the science exposition. So it's like a guided course on how to conduct and prepare for the science fair. The teacher, well, at least the teacher from my year, her name is Miss Yi. She's really nice, really helpful. She helps you to structure the way you research things, decide on ideas, conduct data collection, write all your final papers, and really helps you to like get in depth with a topic that you feel good about or curious about. And then the second half is like bird watching, so you get to learn about bird biology, migration patterns, stuff like that. So it's really fun if you like science. So check it out.
Yeah, it's a great, Miss Yee always says, like, it's if you really loved science fair but didn't love that you got class time, that you didn't have class time to work on it in middle school, it's a great class for that because you do get a full class period dedicated to the science fair and working on that project, and you get help from your teacher. You also get a chance to use really cool tools that you don't get to use in your normal science class, like growing bacteria and different microscopes and things like that. So for the sciencey student, it's a great course. We also offer, and for some reason this isn't on 11th and 12th grade, but I want to assure you we have AVID in all of our grade levels, 6 through 12. AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. And Ms. Hirsch, if you'll go to the next slide. AVID is a nationwide program. It's at all of the schools in Beaverton School District in middle and high school. And it focuses on students, our main priority is to focus on students who will be the first in their family to go to college. So not including older siblings. So if parents and grandparents didn't go to college, and the student exhibits potential to go to college with support, this can be a great program for them. Other students that we focus on are students who are from a cultural or ethnic background, historically underserved in four-year colleges and universities. Students who might have special circumstances that could create barriers for them to go to college, and students who might have some financial barriers to in going to college. So it's definitely, you've heard the word college over and over again. It's a college-focused class for students who might need some extra support in going to college. If you are interested in it and you aren't already in the elective, there is a box that you can check on the forecasting form, and it will automatically send you the link to the application and some more information, and you can apply for it.
Okay, I will be taking this next one. So what makes ISB's diploma program unique? You probably know some of the other comprehensive high schools have IB courses or diploma program. The thing that makes ISB so unique is that all of our students are full IB students. So we really have the support of the entire school community, the teachers, all the teachers know how IB works, are aware of the diploma program. So in 9th and 10th grades, students are really prepping for that IB program. And all of our staff have the shared belief that every student can be successful in IB. And students are encouraged to test, as this is an opportunity for growth and learning. So after their 11th and 12th grade year, students will take their IB exams that can potentially give them college credit. But I think the biggest thing is that all of our students are full IB students, and it's an IB for all school. So this is just a list of some of our activities and clubs at our school. This is not all of them, this is some of them. I think something that's really cool at ISB is our students are interested in so many different things, and they really take action. And because it's a small school, students are close with teachers, and I know many students have actually started clubs and actually have talked to Mr. Gladney, proposed a club. They get a teacher to be an advisor and actually have started clubs, which I think is really cool. And maybe some of our students that are with us right now could share some of the clubs that they're a part of, or honor societies that they're a part of.
I'm a part of the environmental club, and each month there's a theme. So, for example, this month it's wildlife, and so there's a certain amount of activities that you can take part of, and they take attendance at the meetings, and in order to be like a part of the club, you should complete at least one activity per month. But it's a great way to stay involved if the environment is something you're really passionate about and you work together, and it's super cool. I would join it if I were you.
I'm a part of Junior State of America, which is basically like a debate club. It's really fun. So every week or so you get together and have a fun debate, usually about politics, and there are conventions every season. So there's a fall convention, a winter convention, and a spring convention where you get together with other JSA students of the Pacific Northwest and have a fun, usually weekend-long debate convention. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm a part of Yearbook and also Student Council. Yearbook is a club where it's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, we make the school's yearbook. If you like designing, art, the Yearbook club could be really good for you. They also do writing and social media posts. So it could be something fun to contribute to the school, culture, and enjoy the yearbook that you made at the end of the year. Hopefully, if you're in person, you can sign it and stuff. And Student Council, they run a lot of the school activities. Now that we're online, it looks a little bit different. We do stuff like Spirit Weeks. We do like game nights sometimes. In person, there's stuff like coffee houses, movie nights, and also the dances. I think there's a fall dance, there's a winter dance, and some other stuff that we do. It's really fun. It's an election-based process though. So if you really like campaigning or representing student bodies, then Student Council could be something for you.
Awesome. Thank you. We got a nice variety there too. And Alex, you really led us right into this slide, so I appreciate that. So Student Council puts on a lot of our fun events, and I think you said coffee houses, dances, Spirit Weeks, things like that. Also, we have a lot of students involved in other activities and athletics, and I think something important to know, if you are an athlete, that you can participate in your home high school's athletic teams. So we do have a lot of students that are at ISB for school, and then they take the bus to their home high school and participate in a sport. So it's kind of like you can have the best of both worlds there. I do.
Right.
Oh,
why don't you, can you go back and put that Padlet on there? Because we have had some people use the Padlet.
Oh, sure.
So now's the time for questions. And I'm going to start with a couple I missed with math that were in the chat. So Scott, can you tell us a little bit about what IB analysis and approaches is?
Sorry, I think I just muted myself as I started to talk. I just did the reverse. It should be actually on our website as well. Analysis and approaches is it's like it has a lot of different topics in it. I couldn't name them off the top of my head, but it's like a pre-calc, but it also dips into some calculus concepts as well. But there should be a description in our guide to program planning, or at least it should have a description for those, and it should outline some of the key topics. But it would be the next in progression after you get through your AGS 1, 2, and 3, and AGS 3 leads you through a traditional track. It'll lead you through basically Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and geometry with statistics all tied in there. So it's essentially going to be the next step, which would be a pre-calc class that also dips into calculus.
And Scott, I'm going to keep you for one more question. Is there ways that you can skip a math level by testing without summer school?
No, actually. I mean, I guess the short of it is no. We we don't have any like challenge tests to just say, here's a challenge and you can just see if you can skip a grade. We really need to see the progression, and it needs to be through coursework. And so, and like I said, I'm sorry that this year I don't have that answer. In most years, I would say yes. If you're a really passionate and driven student, you could take a course over the summer, and that might be the case this summer. But I can't guarantee that this year.
Ms. Hirsch, when is a good time to evaluate college options, and does ISB offer this consultation for students and parents?
Definitely. So as Ms. Meilenberg was saying before, I think because we're a small school, we definitely as the counselors meet with students and get to know our students starting in 9th grade, and then even start that conversation with meetings in 10th grade. I know Brooklyn and I just met today to talk about colleges. We have junior meetings when we really start officially the college process, where me and Ms. Meilenberg meet with all of our juniors and kind of give some individual attention about what your plan is and kind of how to get there, so that students really hit the ground running when they come in for their senior year. But we start that conversation early on just in our meetings with students, or we also, if a parent wants to have a conversation, we've had meetings with students and parents to kind of start the college conversation. So as early as 10th grade, definitely 11th grade is when we get, I think, really into the meat of what you need to be preparing for and getting ready for senior year.
All right. And then I'll just answer this quick question. Someone asked, if you take the advanced science research class, will you not be allowed to into another elective like band? And the answer is you can take both band and advanced science research. Advanced science research replaces your IB seminar class. So that is something that you do want to think about, because some students really like having that period during the school day that they can get extra work done, that they can work with their peers. So if you take advanced science research, it is an extra academic class, and you're working hard the whole time. Alex, you want to talk a little bit about balancing? Was it hard for you not to have IB seminar, or were you able to balance it okay?
Personally, I mean, it felt like a regular curriculum where you have 8 classes, 8 periods. I feel like at 9th grade, it wasn't really that big of a deal that I didn't have an extra class to work, but it did mean that you have to manage your time better, because obviously you don't have like a given homework period, and you also have this weighted class that you've never really taken before. But I think the experience is worth it if you know how to manage your time well, which if you do go to ISB, then you probably already have some idea of how to do that. And if you really like science. So I feel like if you have the motivation to do it, it shouldn't be a problem if you think you are going to have too much homework or whatever. Yeah.
All right, and Brooklyn and Miranda, I'm going to have you guys talk about how do you go about joining the clubs, and is there a difference? If you know, I can answer this if you don't know it. Is there a difference between high school clubs and middle school clubs?
So I think there definitely is a difference between high school and middle school clubs. Middle school, the options are a lot more limited, and it's when you get to high school that you get to really experience all the clubs. Personally, I got into my clubs by having friends that were already in those clubs, but there's also a club fair day, not day, but there's a club fair time where you can go to usually the gym and kind of browse around all the clubs and see what you're interested in.
Great, yeah. And again, if there's not a club and you want there to be a club, you can start one, which I always think is super cool at ISB too. And I think, let me check my chat. If you have any more questions, now's the time. You can use the chat feature. You can use the Padlet, but I'm not seeing any other ones. Let me make sure. Just to answer this question, there are clubs for middle schoolers too, just not as many as high schoolers, partly the reason for that is that they're usually after school and it's harder for middle schoolers to get home after school. But there are some clubs that they can join. Ms. Hirsch, we have a request to flash back to the slide that had all the classes from 9 to 12. Could you do that, please?
Sure.
And this will be available online after we're done, correct? So if people
Yes.
need to go back and refresh, they can certainly do that.
Yes, I'll be posting this on our website, hopefully by Friday. And hopefully even as early as tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see what tomorrow brings. And while Ms. Hirsch is getting there, in 11th and 12th grade, if we take psychology or chemistry, will we still take choir? Do you want to take that, Mr. Gladney?
Yes, I'll take that. And unfortunately, the answer is no. Your group 6 is kind of a hard choice. It's where sometimes if you want to take 2 sciences, then you would be either taking an extra chemistry. Everyone takes the HL biology, but then if you're STEM focused, then you'd probably also want to be in the chemistry class as well. If your passion is art or music, then you would probably stick with your performing arts that you had earlier. And it's the same with, you get to choose one of those, I guess. At the 11th grade in the group 6, you get to choose one. Choose wisely. It's a 2-year course.
And we had a question, what is the difference between IB seminar and academic seminar? Ms. Hirsch, do you want to take that?
Between IB seminar and academic?
Yeah.
So IB seminar, and I think it was Ms. Meilenberg who described that, is kind of like a support class for those 4-year classes. So you, sometimes it's used as study hall time, and sometimes there's some skills or even some AVID strategies that get built in there, because we do kind of AVID strategies school-wide. Academics seminar is for students served by special education. So if your student has an IEP, that is something that will be scheduled into their schedule for next year. And if you have more questions about that specifically, you can reach out to me or Ms. Meilenberg through email, and we could give you more information about that.
I'm not sure who wants to take this one, and they kind of go together. Can you go into more depth about the IB program, about the testing, and what part of it gives you college credits, and what requirements are there to get an IB diploma at ISB? I am happy to answer that, or I'm not sure who wants to take it.
That's a pretty lengthy conversation.
Yeah, I can start it. So the IB diploma is the last 2 years in 11th and 12th grade, and it is you take each one of those 6 groups. You have to take one class in each of those 6 groups, and you need to. They're graded on a 1 to 7 scale in your senior year when you take the final tests in May of your senior year. There are a couple of other internal assessments that lead to that final score of 1 through 7, but there's those tests at the end. If you receive, well, let me talk about how you get the diploma. The diploma is out of 45 points. So each of those classes are worth 7 points. And then there's 3 bonus points that are with the extent that come from the extended essay in a class called Theory of Knowledge, which is kind of like a philosophy class. And then together you get a score. If you get above a 24, is that the right number? Yes. If you get above a 24, you get a full IB diploma. But for any class that you get a 4 or higher, any of those courses on which you receive a 4 or higher, when you out of that 1 to 7 scale, you can earn college credit at any Oregon public school college, and many colleges outside of Oregon too. And so you can the best way to do it is to Google. I know that sounds kind of funny to say just Google something, but the best way to find out what credits a college will accept is to Google the name of the college plus International Baccalaureate, and it will usually take you right to the page where they talk about granting credit. And actually, Ms. Hirsch, if you'll stop sharing your screen, I'm going to screen share this real quick. So you come to a page like this, and it will tell you that for like biology, which is a class we offer the HL class. If you score a 4, you get biology 101, 102, and 103. If you score a 5 to 7, you get biology 101, 102, 103, and biology 221, 222, 223. So this is at Oregon State. There's no guarantee that you will get credit at all colleges. For instance, the Ivy Leagues, they want you to have a complete Harvard degree, nothing that you're bringing in beforehand. So there are some mostly selective schools that won't take credit, but taking IB courses or IB or AP courses are required to get into the college. But many, many, many schools will offer you credit for a 4 or higher on your IB exams.
Ms. Meilenberg,
Yeah.
What if they do super well and they get a 30
Oh,
diploma?
I forgot. We have so many students who do this. If you get a 30-point diploma or higher, you get a $3,000 a year scholarship at all the Oregon public universities and Pacific University, I believe. So it's 12 grand right there. Plus, oftentimes, if you get a 30-point diploma or higher, you start at around sophomore status at the college. So it's a pretty good deal, I think. Let me go. I'm going to stop screen sharing so I can go to the questions again.
And I think something we should mention too is this is a lot of information, and we do have more presentations as students get closer to the diploma program. For instance, we are doing one tonight for 10th grade students and their families. So we will provide more information as students get closer to that diploma program. So you don't need to have everything memorized right now. We will keep giving you the info and help you along the way.
There is, I'm actually going to have Mr. Gladney talk real quick. Can you talk more about the AP statistics class?
Yeah, any chance we can go back to the math page?
Mm-hmm.
And if not, I'll just start talking about it. The AP stats is truly for students, any of our 8th grade students that are currently in AGS 3. And I don't know that we have any this year. If we do, we might have one. But AP statistics is a way to keep students on track with the rest of the IB curriculum. IB curriculum means that you can't start with your IB courses like in 9th or 10th grade. And if you were to follow out the tracks, you would run out of math before you got to your 12th grade year if you didn't take that AP stats class. So I guess the long and short of it is, if you're in AGS 3 currently right now, then next year as a freshman, you would be slated for AP stats. And then as your sophomore year, you would rejoin your other peers in the bottom track of pre-calculus, and then IB math, AA, SL, HL1, and HL2. But it's really a way to get an extra year of math under your belt without going too far ahead beyond what the IB would let you at your junior and senior year. I hope that makes sense.
That I think it made great sense. I'm going to answer this last question. I think it's our last one, and we have to get going because we do have a 10th grade presentation in just 10 minutes. But the last question is, what are the extended study classes in 11th grade? And what those are is that the IB requires a certain amount of seat hours in each of your, is it just for our HL courses, Mr.
It's
Gladney?
just HL.
Yeah, so for in 11th grade, in order to meet those requirements, they take an extra quarter of history, English, bio, and then they take an extended essay class because the students do have to write a 4,000 word research paper. but we give them a period, everyone takes it fourth quarter of their junior year, and they get help writing that paper and some guidance. And so those are the extended study classes, and they're all in junior year. And on that note, I'm going to answer this last one because there's will 11th and 12th grade students be able to take physics? And the answer to that is no, we do not offer physics at ISB.
Not IB physics.
Oh, sorry, not IB physics. We offer physics in 9th grade, STEM physics in 9th grade. And on that note, I am going to sign off. Again, if you have any questions, or actually, Janice, do you want to go to the next slide? I think the end is yours. I got ahead of myself.
I just stopped sharing.
Oh, you did. I think it's the next steps.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Let me see where those are.
They have to prompt me what to say and do.
I think I got ahead of myself.
Okay.
I looked through it, Tracy, and okay, so here you go.
Okay.
Next steps. These are the instructions for completing your form. These were sent via email. This is all online. This year, work together with your, if you're a student listening, with your parent or guardian to make sure you're only submitting one form. The big deal is, and don't forget to ask for help if you need it. We're available to help you do that. Forms are due by February 17th, which is Wednesday of next week. So it's not that far off. It's just far enough to forget about over the weekend if you're not careful. And with a long weekend and maybe a couple of weather events, we don't want you to forget about it. So we're looking forward to seeing you next year. And even though I won't be there, my heart will be with you.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. And we look forward to working with your students. And please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, students.
Thank you to our wonderful students, our amazing students. Okay.